Are you happy in your business? Now, I have had my share of emotional ups and downs in my 20 years of being a solo entrepreneur coach. And the patterns I've seen in myself and in my clients is that those downs are usually when I was personally feeling unfulfilled. Sometimes it was because a launch that flopped, and sometimes it was just life and had nothing to do with business. But those ups, oh boy, those are the times when I was feeling my most authentic and completely aligned to my purpose, or when I just felt like I was rocking that work-life balance. I would be thinking I could do this all day long and never feel tired. One of my loves is sharing what works for me and what has been working for my clients to achieve this very feeling, full of passion, happiness, peace, and freedom. So I decided to create a private podcast for coaches. Maybe you just want to develop better communication skills that boosts engagement, leads to better results, and makes you feel like you're actually making a difference in the lives of the people you serve. Then you're invited too. We talk about this and more in the UBU private podcast for coaches. Whether you're a mentor, a parent, or run a client-focused business, coaching skills benefit everyone and anyone who wants to communicate in a way that builds relationships. Fall in love with your life and business again. Click the link in the show notes for your invitation to join us right now. Then come back and enjoy this episode. I love it when memories pop up on my social media, at least for the most part. But last week, I was reminded of a post that I don't actually recall posting, and I think that's what makes it so much fun. But it read, "You get there faster if you know what you want. You get there happier if you know in what you believe." Now, I posted that 10 years ago, which really doesn't seem very long ago, but when I consider everything that has happened, what happened back then and what has happened since then, it almost feels like a lifetime ago. And this was before I even knew about the Enneagram. I was actually working mostly with DISC back then. And truthfully, at the time, my business wasn't doing so well. Now, this is going to be a pretty vulnerable episode, so let me go pep myself up with some intro music. It's time to stop comparing yourself to others and plug in to what is uniquely you. Welcome to Unbox Your Personality, the podcast for coaches, parents, and mentors like you who understand that your happiness makes you more effective at what you do, bringing out the best in others. I'm Jen Higgins, personality strategist and Enneagram fluff remover. Get laser focused on who you are and who you aren't, so you're free to make the impact you were born to make. And have fun doing it. Your personality is your business. So let's get down to business. Okay, here we go. I am being particularly vulnerable here because type 7s don't often stop to think about the past, especially if pain or negative emotions are involved in that. But this is the type of digging that you've got to do. It doesn't matter what type you identify with. You've got to do this kind of digging in order to heal. But healed or not, type 7s actually don't even find this kind of thing fun at all. But I'm willing to share in hopes that it inspires even just one person listening to this episode. Because you see, when I wrote that post, I was sick. I was sick physically, mentally, and emotionally. I had been diagnosed, misdiagnosed, and treated for a disorder that I didn't even have. And for 3 years, I was on a drug that was slowly killing me because I had an allergic reaction to it, but I didn't recognize the symptoms because it was happening so slowly, or maybe I was just so busy and my awareness wasn't there. I just wasn't even paying attention. But when I finally started realizing what was happening, my health was a mess. And I had no energy. And I was only a shell of the person that I used to be. I was down to 89 pounds. That's like 40 kilos for my metric friends. I had gotten myself into this mess because I wanted quick fixes. If I had an uncomfortable situation, I wanted a quick fix to it. When there was an uncomfortable reorg at my corporate job, I left it to be a stay-at-home mom. Well, a work-at-home mom, because at the time I was the breadwinner because my husband had gone back to school. And so I started my own business, and it scaled really quickly in its first year because I had corporate income to replace. And then my son was being diagnosed with ASD. And I was so grateful for the flexibility of being my own boss, but balancing was so hard. I couldn't compartmentalize my business and my momming. And there was no quick fix to it. In fact, there was a 6-month gap between when we suspected that he had autism and when he officially got diagnosed. That's how long the waiting list was. And there was just so much uncertainty of just not knowing what to do and not really understanding autism itself. And by the way, April is Autism Awareness Month, if you didn't know. But I went through all this mom guilt of, did I do this to him? Can I even do this? Can I even help him? And I became really depressed because at this point I also had a toddler. And I had to mourn what momming had been like during his first 2.5 years. And then accept that everything that I pictured about motherhood wasn't going to happen to me. It wasn't going to happen for me. And frankly, I didn't handle that very well. I spent a lot of time taking care of everyone else and everything else and distracted myself and completely neglected me. And every year I got worse and worse. My marriage was strained. I was pretty sure I was screwing up my kids. Self-harming was involved. And I got to the point when I thought my family would be better off without me. And that was a wake-up call for me. So in 2011, I started turning my life around. I stopped comparing myself to other parents, even comparing myself to other parents who had children with autism. I stopped comparing myself to other home business owners. I didn't need anyone's approval, and I especially didn't need anyone's judgment. And I realized if anyone was going to get me out of this mess, it was going to be me, because it was time for me to be an adult. Now, I don't quite remember the specific circumstances at the time that prompted me to post that statement. And it wasn't a quote. It was something that I wrote. So it was pretty profound. I must have been going through some kind of wise sage moment. But I'm glad it popped up on my memories because it is certainly speaking to me now. So last year, when I brought my business online, I wasn't really quite sure exactly what I was doing. There was this COVID thing, and it just seemed like the urgent and logical move to make. Everybody else was doing it. And so if I was going to be able to continue my business, I probably needed to do it also. But I didn't have a whole lot of clarity for the direction that I was going in. It was just kind of, hey, let's see what this does. Let's see if this works. But this year, it's different. I know that I'm building my leadership school. I even put it on my vision board. So if you listen to that podcast, it was one of my very, very first podcasts where I was talking about vision boards. And my leadership school is called Unbox University. And for short, UBU. Get it? Isn't that cool? But its grand opening is going to be February of 2022. And this school is dedicated to educators and business service providers like coaches, counselors, therapists, and organizational leaders to be able to develop their skills their skills to connect with others and inspire others to be their best. And we'll be doing this through courses, through coaching, and community, because I'm a sucker for alliteration there. But I am also seeing in the future live events and retreats. I know those don't start with a C, but I'll have to think on that. If you have any C word ideas for live events and retreats, let me know. Send me a DM on Instagram. But my point is that because I know what I want, a lot has happened in the last 90 days. I mean, a lot. I have built 2 business programs incorporating everything that you know me for: the Enneagram, business coaching, and life coaching. And the beta seats are almost sold out. And it just happened so fast. It was a reminder to me that this is what happens when you get aligned with yourself. So just like the quote, me quoting me, I'm kind of proud of myself. But you get there faster if you know what you want. And then the second part of that quote, you get there happier if you know what you believe in. Now, is that a type 7 or what? Now, what I believe in is that your personality is your business. Too many people kind of think that personality is just a fun thing to know, but no, it is the thing to know. And everything starts with who you are at your core. And learning about your personality points you to who that is. I am a better mom and a better wife because I know who I am. And I'm also a better teacher, I'm a better coach, a better friend, all because I've structured out my core values and my core motivations and my core strengths that help me organize my thoughts and be intentional with my actions and maintain boundaries that protect me from others and also protect others from me when I'm having a moment, because we're not all perfect. We do have our moments. And so those boundaries are actually twofold. They go in both directions. So this is why in my business programs, the entire first half of the program is dedicated to Enneagram and the self-work that you've got to do if you want to be able to reach your goals faster and happier. And this is what seeing this Facebook reminder did for me. Just all these thoughts just came swirling in, because I can't help but wonder, if I had known about the Enneagram back then, would it have taken me 3 years to recognize that I was disintegrating? And would I have even allowed myself to get misdiagnosed in the first place? There should have been some red flags there for me to have realized this is not me. This is my personality in stress. You know, misdiagnosing a disorder like that is like mistyping on the Enneagram too. And being on the wrong treatment is like following the wrong growth path. I was taking a drug I did not need to be taking, and it did more damage than it did good. But the good news is that even though I didn't know my Enneagram type back then, I was still able to get in touch with my core desire, which is to be happy. And I was able to turn things around because of that. I realized that I was so unhappy. And if I wanted to be happy, then it was me who needed to do that. So that is kind of like, when you don't know your Enneagram, that is kind of like being undiagnosed. Like before my son was officially diagnosed with autism, we went ahead and started doing therapy. But as soon as he was diagnosed, we had more direction, we got more support, we had more confidence in what we were doing. So no, you don't have to know your Enneagram to make amazing content or to market yourself well or to be able to empower your students or your clients or your team or group. But gosh, it sure does make it more simple. And if this is something that you want for your business and for your life, then connect with me. Send me an email or a DM on Instagram, or go to unboxuniversity.com and connect with me there. But this post, as profound as it might be, didn't mean that I had grown or matured into some deep philosophical sage 10 years ago when I posted it. What it really means is I was starting to step into my true self. And getting in touch with my core, I started recognizing that success means nothing if I'm not happy. And so doing what other people were doing was making me unhappy. And so it wasn't the right thing for this mom to do. And that year, I experienced so much freedom. Not just the freedom from the reaction of the drug, because I with help from a doctor, I was able to wean myself off from it. But freedom from a diagnosis that was false. And I had joined a new church. I met a whole new crowd of friends. And I chopped off 16 inches of my hair. And freedom from this lie that there was something wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with me. I was just using somebody else's growth map and not my own. So this is the beauty of unboxing your personality. Because once I unboxed myself, I was able to unleash my power. Thank you for listening, subscribing, and reviewing the Unbox Your Personality podcast. To learn more about yourself, go to powercoachjen.com. Find out how you are different so you can make your difference.